So welcome to a new series called the Open Up series. New to YouTube, we haven't done this before. So we're going to start off with Millwall Football Club player, 59 appearances, 15 goals, striker Matt Smith. How you doing today, Matt? You all right?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic stuff. So today we're joined with the People's FC chairman as well, Kai Trott, and myself, Sam Smith, who is one of the management of the People's FC. So all we're doing today, we're doing an Open Up series where we're going to be chatting about Matt in general, all about mental health, and yeah, just take it away. So we'll start off with you talking about yourself, Matt, about your career highlights. I would say personally, probably your best one was a 90th minute winner against Charlton, but that's not going to be it, is it? It would be your 3-2 win over Liverpool in the FA Cup 2013. Is that right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, mate. Must have been magical.
Yeah, it's still obviously a game that people obviously still talk about to this day. It was probably the game that kind of took my name from obscurity to national headline very, very quickly. And it probably wasn't even just that game in isolation. It was the compound effect of that game, the next round against Everton, that form in the league. And it kind of took me in my career from a very mediocre time at Oldham to a 2-year deal at Leeds United in the Championship. So it was just more that not only that afternoon on, in January 2013, like you say, it was more the compound effect of it and kind of the effect it had on my confidence and, where the trajectory that game gave me, really.
Sleepless nights after them 2 goals, taking them 1-0 up in the 3rd minute. And then, what was it, 2-1? And you get to like Luis Suarez, Steven Gerrard, and there was a few others to name.
It was a very surreal occasion. Like you say, when you look at the team, it was pretty star-studded. They had world-class players on the pitch, and
exactly.
Just like that, you give a good account of yourselves, and FA Cup upsets happen. It's the magic of the cup.
Just in with like, obviously, what league was you in at the time when you was at Oldham? What league was they in?
League One.
Could you tell was there a massive difference between obviously some of the like natural ability of all the boys in your team and the Liverpool? Could you tell there was a massive difference on the day, or was it just FA Cup everyone equal?
You could tell there was a massive gulfing difference, particularly with certain players, the likes of Steven Gerrard and Luis Suarez and Raheem Sterling. You could tell the gulfing difference. But I think our plan was just to upset them, disrupt their momentum, disrupt their group, just make it really uncomfortable for them. And since that day, I've been on the other side where I've been the bigger team in a giant killing. So I can understand how frustrating that is. You feel like your natural ability should win you the game, but they're just upsetting your rhythm, upsetting your groove, physical, just disrupting everything, making it really, really uncomfortable. And, I've experienced both sides, so I know how it works.
Well, two of them players are still... You've got Henderson, who's a captain of England now. You've got Sterling, who's at Man City. Did you feel like, when you went back to playing in the league that you was in the week after, did you notice a difference straight away and think, this is a bit, I'm not blowing as much this game?
Yeah, a little bit. I think just you obviously had a lot more of the ball. You're able to, impose your attacking game a lot more than you would be in those games against Liverpool and Everton. But it's just the confidence, you feel bigger in yourself, you feel stronger and more confident in yourself, and it's that momentum that takes you into the league. And I went on to get Player of the Month. Like you say, it's the compound effect of that. Where it's understated. It was massive.
That's the thing with football. Football is a massive confidence thing as well. And I know it's a different level. Right? I've played at the sort of lowest levels of semi-pro, only ever really Sunday league. But even in these sort of environments of football, confidence is such a big thing at every single level.
Huge. If you could bottle confidence, you could sell it for a lot. It's when you, particularly as a goal scorer, when you're scoring goals and that confidence that brings, you feel like you're going to go out there and score every week. And likewise, if you're having a bit of a drought and it just feels like it's never going to drop for you, and how you can differentiate between the two is hard, because ultimately you're doing the same things every week. You're training hard, you're giving your all, but that rub of the green, that bit of confidence, that knack in front of goal, it's hard to actually describe it. Do you know what I mean? It's just a real feeling that you feel invincible almost.
What's your favourite goal that you've scored since being a professional footballer? Is there one goal that you just think, I'm never going to do anything better, or I don't know, the crowd just made it better? Was there anything like that?
Yeah, probably the next round we played Everton, and we drew, and I scored a 90th minute equaliser to a 93rd minute equaliser to take us to Goodison in the replay. Obviously beating Liverpool, and then get a replay against Everton in the fifth round for a club like Oldham, was massive. And that feeling, I had all my family there, all my friends there. That as an isolated feeling is probably up there. But my best goal probably would be for Fulham. Scored a great goal against Wigan, right footer from about 30 yards off my weak foot. So yeah, that's probably my best goal. But yeah, in terms of goals for me is more about the feeling and the emotion of the actual game itself and the relevance to the game. Do you know what I mean? That Wigan game was a 2-2 in a mediocre season, whereas them particular moments were big moments in a season that meant a lot. Yeah,
who is your favourite all-time player and all-time favourite player who you aspire to be like? If there's anyone that you would love to sort of, if you could base your whole game around them, who would it be?
That's a good question. I was a boyhood United fan, so I grew up loving the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, David Beckham and all the rest of it. But in terms of me growing up as a footballer, my idol would probably be Didier Drogba. I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I just admired him as a player. Thought he had all the attributes for the perfect complete striker. Yeah. And away from the pitch, he's a great guy as well. He does a lot of work back home in I think it's the Ivory Coast. He does a lot for his community and a lot of his for his people. So yeah, I think as a player, as an all-round player, he was probably the one guy that I thought, I could be like him. That'd be great.
I've got another question for you then. Thierry Henry or Didier Drogba?
Well, I think probably for natural ability, you'd probably give it to Henry. But Drogba was someone I liked watching. I would never have the pace of Drogba, but he was someone I could compare myself a little bit more to than someone like Henry who had blistering pace. It's never been me and never will be.
Okay, well, moving on as well. This is a bit of advice we've got, because as a charity club, we've got a few games that are all across the country. So for an away day, say you was going to Blackburn away, it's a 4-hour journey. How would you prepare yourself? What do you do to think, I've got a long journey. How am I going to get myself there? What do you think? What gets you through it?
I like the away trips. Bit of running joke. All the lads think I would enjoy them way more than I should. We take the train a lot of, especially from London to get out to different parts of the country. We take the train a lot. So I like the train trips. We always get a little table. Me, Piercy, Jed, and Sean Williams are always on our 4-person table. Have a chat. Sometimes play a board game, and the journey just passes. Have a coffee. Do you know what I mean? And I quite enjoy it. And then I think it's just about relaxing, really. You do all your physical preparation, your ice baths, your massage, your body prep, and all the rest of it. That's all done, and you trained hard in the week. So it's just about relaxing, I think. And then we get to the hotel. You might see the physio if you just want a bit of work done. Get your food in, get your proper fluids in. Just preparation and just kind of relaxing. You don't want to be like overly hyped or overly excited. You just kind of just want to be in a good physical state, really. And I think doing it that many times, hundreds of times over the years, you just kind of get used to the routine of it.
No, yeah, we've got the Bradley Larry Foundation up in, I think it's September. So we've got to travel up to Sunderland and play them for a charity game, raising money for them. So
nice.
I think the longest journey we've done is Essex, isn't it, so far? So
yeah, you got longer ones on the cards. Yeah. Essex would be local for us.
Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, Essex would be local. How long was for us?
Now on?
Yeah. But yeah, so just moving on to the next question. If you're having a bad day, Matt, who's that one player that you go that would cheer you up, that boost your mood, like
Jed Wallace. Jed Wallace. Yeah, no, he's probably my closest mate in the dressing room. Jed, I love him. Yeah, no, he's hilarious, and he always like finds a way to make me laugh or feel better about a situation.
Imagine,
so he's usually my go-to. Him, Alex Pearce. Those two probably are my go-tos, and they'll put things in perspective. If sometimes they don't always tell you what you want to hear, but they'll tell you what they think you should hear, which sometimes is better for you. But I think they know the balance of knowing if you're having it. We all have our good days and bad days, and put you right accordingly. So no, they're great lads, to be fair.
Brilliant. And who's the biggest prankster in the club? Like, who does all the jokes and all that? I think they're like the class clown.
Oh, Piercy.
Yeah.
He's in a category of his own. He's got all these different games and pranks that he does on a daily basis. So yeah,
He threw the snowboarding yesterday.
Hutchie.
Did he?
Yeah, and Hutchie would be a close second for pure pranks. He's very. I think when he gets to work, it's as if he like morphs into a different person, and all his immature childishness comes out, and he does all these pranks. But I think Piercy's just like that 24/7, to be honest. So.
And who's always late for training? Who's the one that racks up the most fines for being late? What is the fine at Millwall? Are we allowed to know that? What's the fine for being late?
I think 250 quid, I think, and then double on match day. That's quite standard. Other clubs I've been at, it's kind of. To be fair, I've had it worse. When I was at Fulham, it was £50 a minute under Felix Magath. £50 a minute. So yeah, and with London traffic as well, it could be deadly. But to be fair, we got a really disciplined group. With no one really.
That's all right.
Marlon Romeo, a few times he travels in from North London, so traffic can be a stinker for him. But nothing to write home about. No one's bad. Everyone's pretty well disciplined.
What we're going to do now, we're going to tell a story about the People's FC and how we started, how we all got together, and about Kai's sort of journey through mental health, how he's dealt with it, etc. So over to you, Kai.
So it is, to be fair, I had quite a laugh asking him questions. So it does go to a sort of darker route now. But to cut the longest story short into a medium sort of story was, I think I was 17 at the time, and I was just out with two of my friends at a local like sort of park on Plumstead Common, on Wings Common, and me and my pal went into this old park that we used to like go in and play in when we was younger. We went in there, was just playing football like I've always done in my life. I've always played football constantly. And I actually went to the sort of bushy toilet area to go to the toilet. And as I'm going to the toilet, I've looked up and I thought, who's that? Like, there's a bloke looking at me sitting in the tree. And I was like, that's weird. I've looked up again and I've actually realised it was someone had taken their own life and hung themselves. And it was all a bit mental. I had to call an ambulance and fire brigade, everything. And they actually, this is the one thing that I remember, was they said to me, can you cut him down? And I was like, what? No, like, I can't do that. I don't want to go anywhere like near. And in my head after, I thought, oh, what if he was actually alive then and I could have helped him? But it turned out he'd been there for about, I think, 2 days. And I wasn't that bad of it. I hadn't had, I sort of just got on with it. And then 2 days later, I actually found out it was someone that I knew. So it was someone who I grew up with. It was a family friend's son. And I grew up with his younger brother. His mum and dad still live literally directly behind me in another road. And after that, I got a post-traumatic stress disorder. And I would say now I'm still not, I think it knocked my confidence in life a little bit. So little things, like even now, I'm not very good in like big open spaces. I know, for example, if you've got a push or a pull door, that's a really big issue for me, because I get worried that I'm going to push the pull door and everyone's going to laugh at me and things like that. I've still got that now, but in the first sort of, I'd say 7 or 8 months, it was really bad. Like the post-traumatic stress disorder was really bad. But then after 2 years, I decided, you know what, I want to sort of tell my story, and in a sort of selfish kind of way, I don't want anyone to ever have to go through what the family friend went through, and I don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through, because I'd had post-traumatic stress disorder for a long time and it affected me really bad. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do a charity game to raise money for his 2 kids, because I knew that he had 2 kids that he unfortunately left behind. And it was with my best mate, Raja. It was a game with just my pals versus his pals. And then the day went unbelievably well. My team unfortunately lost, and that was it was called the Plumstead Charity Cup Final, which we now do every year for his 2 kids. I unfortunately lost, but then me and Raja was like, you know what, we're onto something here. We could do something to help a lot of people through the sport that we love, which is football. And in the end, we said, cool, let's create a team. And was on our way to Millwall one day before COVID and stuff. Sounds weird even saying it. And we said, let's think of a name and let's just do it. Let's just do occasional charity games every now and then. And he said the People's FC. I think 2 weeks later, we set up a game. raised about £300 in this game. Just, you know, set it up. No marketing, no nothing, no support like we've got now. And then end up being really good. And then from there, we'll create the People's FC. We ended up entering a league, winning a cup. We've won a few charity tournaments. We've raised over 10 grand now. And in the end, we just said, you know what? We don't have to just revolve this around mental health. We could use football to help anyone who needs our help. So we've got charities, like we was raising money for a kid called Denny, who had cancer. He unfortunately passed away quite recently. There's a little girl called Rosie who has a rare form of cerebral palsy. We've raised over £3,000 for her now. And there's just loads of charities that we work for. And really, it's an excuse to use football to help people. And that is, in the medium sort of way, the People's FC.
Incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I haven't had to tell that story in a while, so I felt a bit rusty sort of saying it, but that's the People's FC.
No, yeah.
Sam, you got involved because you was a super fan.
I was a super fan, yeah. Watched the videos on YouTube and all that, and then Kai brought me in. It's about this time last year, actually.
Yeah.
Won't talk about the results, but yeah, it's just I ain't gonna manage Millwall. Just put that in. But yeah, so we can move on now. Unless Matt, you got any questions about the People's at all?
No, it's brilliant, and it sounds like it's all been for an amazing cause. And like you say, your brand, you're not just incorporating mental health, but you're doing it for all sorts of great causes, really, and you're bringing light to a lot of issues that are very relevant nowadays. And I feel like people have suffered in silence, I think, with a lot of these issues. So to make it aware to everyone that it's okay to talk about these things. There's no stigma attached from that anymore. You know, maybe there once was a bit of stigma attached to, talking about personal stuff like that. But I think that the message is very clear, and I think it's brilliant. And particularly, to a lot of the younger generation who, maybe not quite emotionally mature enough to understand that it is okay to talk about these things. I think something, and using a medium like football to promote it, that everyone loves, it's the country's game. You're tying in a lot of amazingly important messages. So no, fair play to you.
Yeah. So Matt, to you, what's your opinion on what is mental health? When people talk about mental health, what does it mean to you? What is it like? What do you think of when you think of mental health?
When I think of mental health, I think it relates to our emotional, our psychological, our social well-being. I think it predominantly affects how we think and how we feel, and as a result, how we act in day-to-day life and how we make our decisions, how we make our choices in life. So I think it's all encompassing, really, and it's obviously a huge barometer for how we just conduct ourselves and how we feel on a daily basis.
Yeah,
agree. Yeah. With the next question, this is another one where if you don't feel comfortable answering it, it's the same way as what I'd say to anyone. We can move on. If you've ever have you heard or known anyone suffering from it, if you know anyone, how easy was it to notice the person suffering?
Yeah, I think probably yes to all those things, really. I think mental health is a spectrum. Really, you can be suffering terribly, or you can be suffering mildly. But either way, you can suffer with these issues. For me personally, I've count myself lucky that I've not had a lot of traumatic events in my life. I've maybe suffered a little bit with the divorce of my parents, and I saw a therapist for that, and that was a period of time that I tried to, come to terms with like the traumatic event in my life, so to speak. But yeah, and I've got family members who suffer on a much deeper level than that, and they're more down the medication route to combat depression and anxiety, and so I know what that's like, and I know the sort of day-to-day significance of that, and been well versed to that. So yeah, I understand how prevalent it is in day-to-day life, and the importance of speaking out and talking about it, and seeking help where needed, because ultimately they are things that you can overcome to a degree, or certainly improve in your life. And with it being, I think, such an important part of your life, it's important to address.
Any advice you'd give to people dealing with mental health at the moment? I mean, at the moment, mental health is literally going through the roof at all ages, from 10 years old upwards. Advice, especially with the lockdown.
Especially nowadays, I feel like everyone, could be suffering to a degree. To be, I don't think we're sort of living life at the minute. We're just existing, aren't we? With the lockdown, there's not a lot of sort of freedom we have from it. So I think everyone will be suffering to a degree, whether that's financially or mentally or both, or a number of different reasons. But I think just to talk about it, to speak about it, and open up them lines of communication and the dialogue with either people you trust or professional people like therapists, it's important. I think bottling it all in is just it creates that cycle of overthinking and despair and worry and anxiety, whereas getting it out, and sometimes the things that you're really worried about aren't actually as deep or meaningful as you're compressing in your head. Do you know what I mean? I think to rationalize it with people, if that's a family member or a really close friend, then great. Professional people sort of you maybe advocate because they don't have that emotional attachment that maybe your friends and family have. They're just totally neutral and they can give you a different perspective. But for me, the big words, communication, and just not being afraid to talk about it, and even admit like I'm a bit worried about this, or I feel this way, or I'm a bit low, or it's perfectly, it can be natural, especially in days like this where, like you say, you're confined to four walls at times, and work might not be able to work, or just go about your day to day like you normally would, or get the escapism of a holiday, or the release of a night out, or a bit of bite to eat, or anything like that. So everyone's going to be feeling a bit down at the minute. I don't think anyone's going to be bouncing off the walls at the minute, because life isn't amazing, is it? But I think just talking about it and reassuring people there's light at the end of the tunnel, which there is, with the vaccine rollout and stuff, there's plenty of reasons at the minute to think, right, well, we're getting there. It's going to be a bit longer, and we'll be there. So I think just, like I said, communication and opening up to those close to you.
Yeah, no, what was your advice be on someone, say, age 14, trying to get to where you are today?
So just maintain your enthusiasm and your desire. I think that takes you a lot further than, let's say, natural God-given talent. I think to just want to be better and just enjoy it for what it is, and I think that will take you a lot further than you think. I don't think putting pressure on yourself, is probably not the best way. I think you kick on, you develop as a youngster just through really enjoying the game and wanting to be the best version of yourself you can be. A lot of players, particularly me, I'd say, I've got very limited ability. But the one thing I do is work really hard at what I've got, and make the best out of it. So that would be my recommendation to the youngsters coming through. Yeah,
it's a lot of questions. It's something we wanted to talk about. We're starting a new project as well. It's called the Ramish Project. So it's called Raising Awareness of Mental Health in Schools. That's a new project that we're doing. We're going to be going into schools and educating kids from, I believe, 12 upwards about the importance of mental health, importance of staying positive, and any advice to them as well. That's another thing that we're doing, which is, what do you think of it?
I think that's going to be really important. I think you caught it at a good time as well. With the lockdown situation, with life as we know it drastically changing. I think schools, I obviously went through university. I feel for the guys at uni right now, because they will not be experiencing what you should be experiencing at university, and the mental health issues that are going to result. I think it's a bit naive to think that lockdown ends and we just go back to life as it was. There's going to be real long-lasting effect off the back of this mentally for a lot of people. That might be the result of financial hardship, or just their opportunities might have be non-existent. The job market might be a disaster off the back of this. For the guys leaving school and wanting to go to work, the youngsters, not being able to do the setbacks that they'll have from not being at school. So I think you've caught it a really, really important time. I think everyone should be, rallying behind initiatives like that kind of thing, because I think, like you say, I think there might be right now a little underappreciation for the sort of long-lasting effect of these lockdowns.
Yeah, the stats have gone up a lot. So like the mental health for kids at the age of 12, sad to see, it's not really publicised, if that word,
Yeah, publicised. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's not. It's not publicised.
It's not as much as it should be. So this is like sort of the reason why we're doing it, to like sort of raise that awareness and make it more aware to people, like on news channels, broadcast everywhere.
Absolutely.
That's the main mission we're trying to get at this as well.
That's what we're trying to do. Carrying on a little bit from that as well, we've started this thing with letters. We haven't actually got a name for it yet, but we have started off where we send a letter to anyone that is struggling at the moment, or they've just overcome a battle with their mental health. And what we do, we send them a letter and a medal to say, like, you can do this, or a medal to say that, you know, well done for overcoming the mental health. And the medal's got our slogan on it, which, you know, is all on our tops and everything, that says, it's okay to not be okay. And I was actually dropping these letters off myself. I was driving to all the places and doing it. And I think out of the 11 we've already dropped off, 3 of them were kids under 16. So it's just really important at the moment to make sure that kids are okay, because we've got an under 13s team as well. At the start of the lockdowns, they was all like, whoa, yes, we get to stay off school and play Fortnite or whatever they play nowadays. And now they're all like, what do we do? I want to go back to school. I want to go play football. And it's just getting to the point where they don't know what to do.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And initiatives like that, you know, it's just raising awareness and creating an appreciation that you know, these guys need to be looked after and thought about, because, you know, it's a difficult time for a lot of people. So fair play to you. And
the last one as well, I want to talk about another thing that we've created as well. We've got a few charity events, but this is our sort of new project that we're working on. So last year we created a charity league. So it was supposed to be a league, but then COVID come about and we had to cancel it because, to be honest, we knew that COVID was going to put a massive halt into the system. And it's the first ever competitive sort of competition for charity teams. So, for example, last season we had teams like to do with brain tumor charities. We had obviously our own, and it's called the United Charity League, and it's named after the guy that I found take his own life. It's called the Michael Walford Memorial Trophy, and that's coming back. That we're doing that hopefully in September, just before September, and it's going to be the first ever sort of competitive competition for charity sides. There is another one now as well, which is really good, called the Affinity League, and we've just got loads of charity events as well coming up, called with the Brad Lowry Foundation. We've got so many charity events coming up, haven't we? It's just going to be.
Hopefully we can get them all done. Just finding the time. Hopefully restrictions change sooner rather than later.
Yeah. It all depends with the restriction. So we normally do a event for one of our main charities, which is Rosie's Legs, which is the girl with a rare form of cerebral palsy. We're supposed to do that on December 27th, but we couldn't because of the COVID restrictions, it was heartbreaking. So not only is this obviously, you know, affecting people's mental health, it's affected a lot of charity work as well, this lockdown. So the phrase is, it's okay to not be okay, innit?
Yeah. But we haven't stopped fundraising for Rosie. At the moment, we're doing 3K a week, and we as a club, well, not as a club, individually, still raising money for her in a GoFund page. And what else we got? Yeah. We've got Quindersworth Hospital as well. Bought them a new fridge. Microwave has donated, and just like supplies of like water, breakfast bars, and a few other bits for the nurses and doctors. So that's another thing we've got to get done by the end of the month.
We also done £1,000 for the Children's Ward worth of presents, didn't we, as well?
Yeah. So that was a success.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it's a big year. Hopefully, once all things come back together.
Yeah, so it'd be good.
Spides, thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
Good luck Saturday. Get 3 points.
Well done for everything. Cheers, mate. Thank you. See you. Cheers, Bill.
Take care, mate.
Bye.